Radio. Raheem with the Cobra. Carl Froch ringside tonight. The first fight back from anybody around the world to be able to pack this many people into one stadium. Canelo performed, got the stoppage. Saunders quit on his stool, but I wouldn't call that a quit. I'm seeing online people criticizing him for that. So as an ex-fighter, maybe even still an active fighter, some might say, talk to me about the moment that an injury like an eye socket shatter happens and what the reasonable reaction is to that.
Well, I've never had an orbital eye socket fracture in my career. I've had some bad injuries that needed surgical intervention, should we say, but never a fractured eye socket. But anyone I've ever come across that's experienced an orbital eye socket, like Carl Froch or my older brother Lee Froch, the renovator, you need to go and get it fixed. You need to get yourself down to hospital and get it fixed. And if you carry on fighting with that fracture, you can cause yourself blindness, you know. And a man's eyesight is quite important. So it's a boxing match at the end of the day, and your health's more important than a fight. So Billy would not have pulled out with a black eye or sore eye. He would have known that there's a problem here. And Mark Tibbs knows him inside out. He'd have been speaking to him, communicating. And he's not going to risk. What's the point?
Up until that point, how did you feel Saunders was doing, and how would you assess the game plan of each fighter?
I thought he was doing really well. I had him behind on the cards just, but it was arguably, I mean, the guy who works alongside me, Chris Mannix, for DAZN, he had Billy Joe winning by 2 or 3 rounds, maybe even more. I personally think that was a little bit wide, but I can see Billy was busy with a jab at times, and he was landing 3-4 punch combinations in rounds when he wasn't getting hit. So he wins them rounds. It's as simple as that. Subjective scoring is, Canelo was the dominant force. It was ultimately, I think, going to get to Billy Joe because he was starting to step it up, and there was a sense of urgency about his work. Real class act.
The last time I saw a fighter with an orbital socket fracture was Carl Froch, and he was facing Errol Spence, who was here tonight, who's also called out Canelo, even though they're in different weight classes. Spence claims he can get up to 160, maybe even 168. Do you think that's a realistic matchup? And if so, how do you think that fight would go?
I think it's a great fight. Someone just asked me earlier, who do you think? And I think the only kind of style that I like that's going to be effective against Canelo would be Terence Crawford. But he's not big enough. And Errol Spence is a quality fighter, top fighter, but he's not big enough. You know, I've just sat there ringside, listened to, I almost could feel the punches from Canelo. He sets his feet, he slips, makes a little movement, and then while the body shot goes in, or the head shot goes in, and they're big, heavy blows, heavy, hurtful blows. It's going to take one hell of a man to soak them up and come back with their own for 12 rounds.
Well, we all know who cover boxing that no man is invincible, but boy, Canelo seems invincible tonight. The more likely opponent is Caleb Plant. What chance do you give Caleb Plant, and how do you see that fight going were it to happen?
Anybody who can box and move and work behind the jab and put combination punches together without getting nailed with a counter punch could potentially beat Canelo Alvarez. But every time we think someone might beat him, you know, the only guy to do it is Floyd Mayweather Jr. And that was a long time ago as well. You know, Canelo's probably improved or has improved since then. So yeah, you've got to give Plant a chance. You do. But realistically, come fight night, when you're sitting ringside watching these fighters fight each other, you're probably going to side with Canelo Alvarez.
And lastly, Carl, one of the most difficult guys to beat in boxing at one time for sure was Roy Jones. And you seem to have gotten under his skin here recently, calling him shot to bits. He's challenged you to prove it. Have you heard that challenge, and how do you answer it?
I have heard the challenge. You know, Roy Jones commands and demands and should always get respect of anyone, especially fighters, ex-fighters, current fighters. And you know, I had a few words to say about Roy Jones when I was doing an interview about the Joe Calzaghe win. And maybe I picked the wrong words when I said that Roy Jones was past his best. That would have probably been a better choice of words. But I used the phrase that he uses, which I don't even like the sound of. Shot to bits is what I said. I've got to say it because I said it. I'm not going to deny it. And Roy Jones, he seems all right. We're working together on DAZN. He's chatty, but it feels a little bit cold. You don't want to engage in a full-on conversation. You don't really want to get, you know, friendly with me. And he went tonight without saying bye. So, I don't know, maybe.
Is it possible that he sees you as his next opponent, doesn't want to get too chummy?
Well, you never know, do you? I mean, we've got the same sort of format that he had with Mike Tyson. And I'd be open to that. I really would. I wouldn't get in there with a 3-minute round fight against a current world champion because it wouldn't be right. I'd have to be stupid to think that I can compete at that level. I retired for a reason. But 8 2-minute rounds against the right dance partner, and to share a ring with a legend, an all-time great like Roy Jones Jr., just that would be amazing. I don't know, but depends if it's beef, because I don't want to get in there and start going mad like I want to knock him out. But he sounds angry, so if he's going to try and knock me out, he best be ready for one coming back.
It sounds like you've accepted the challenge.
Well, yeah, you've talked me into it now.
That's a fight I'll definitely be ringside for. Carl Froch, hopefully I'll see you in 70,000 with Roy Jones across the ring from you sometime soon.
Mate, listen, you know I don't do 70. I do 80,000. You know that. Get it right.
Yes. The 80,000 Packer, my man. Carl Froch, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck tonight. I don't know if Roy Jones will give you a ring, but he just might. Hopefully we'll see that fight soon. Radio Raheem with the Cobra, Carl Froch.